your pain, your traumas, your scars, anything that has actually hurt you in your own personal life, either in your childhood, especially in your childhood, the first 7 years of your life, which is actually the thing that actually creates a big part of your subconscious mind, and also any type of traumas, any type of hurt that has happened in your life for the rest of your life that has hurt you in different ways and that has created sometimes defense mechanisms, sometimes uh, just triggers, all sorts of different things that makes you unbalanced. You know, focusing onto all the things that actually trigger you, that makes you super uncomfortable, even places or memories of things that actually cause you pain is actually the key to your own healing and transformation. You can actually change your whole life by focusing on these things, as uncomfortable as it can be. And that's actually shadow work, inner healing, true inner healing. And it requires you to connect to the warrior part of yourself and to be like, you know what, I might feel uncomfortable, but I want to heal. I'm tired of having these defense mechanisms. I'm tired of having this trauma stuck literally in my body, and hurting me in so many different ways. We sometimes push away traumas, or we push away bad memories of bad things that has happened in our life, but we haven't made peace with it. And because we haven't made peace with it, memories, attached to these things are connected to emotions, are connected to energies that are literally stuck within their body, within your spirit. And what happens is that over time, these emotions that are actually unprocessed, these energies are being stuck in your body, and then energy always has to flow. If energy does not flow, it will stay stuck within your energetic body, and eventually it will most likely create a disease after a long time has passed of you keeping that energy stuck, because it's stagnant energy. It becomes like rotten water, almost like stagnant water, and then all sorts of bacteria and things, right, will grow in stagnant pools of water, which is why they're more dangerous. It's very, very dangerous to actually drink. Confirmation from the universe. The dog barking, right? Yeah. So that's why it's a lot more dangerous than drinking from water directly from a river, right? The water directly from the river is actually constantly flowing. And that's how the energy inside your body, inside your spirit, in your mind should actually be. If it does not flow and it stays stuck within your mind, within your body, it will create issues down the line. It may create all sorts of things, and that's what people sometimes they call the chakras, right? In Eastern traditions. But yeah, depending on your energetic center, okay, that is connected to the trauma that you're actually keeping inside of you, you will manifest different health issues. And which is why it's very important to actually deal with it, to process these things. How do you process or deal with these things, right? And these emotions? Well, there's so many different ways. You have to find a way that actually works for you. I'll mention a few, okay? So there's, obviously meditation, detaching yourself from self, pure silent meditation, detaching yourself from self, and after long enough meditations, you'll detach, and whenever something comes out, like an emotion or whatever, you'll detach yourself because you're not attached to that persona, to that identity that you were given, because you realize that's not your true nature, right? And yeah, so then you don't become personally affected or personally you don't feel personally attacked when someone criticizes you or whatever, right? That's one trick. Another trick is you deal directly with the emotion or the thing that is there. So you close your eyes and you do some sort of like hypnotherapy or meditation, okay? And then you close your eyes and you visualize, okay? You visualize, you connect, you know, to, you know, sometimes it's called inner child healing, right? So you could do inner child healing. You connect with either your inner child, right? If your trauma or whatever has happened, you really got to sit with yourself literally and be like, okay, where does this actually come from? Where does this trauma or where does this reaction actually come from? You know, you might be, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, you know, or more, and your whole life you've been dealing with a defense mechanism. When someone says something to you, it really angers you, or really, like, you got to dive into that. You close your eyes and you're like, why am I so angry when someone says that? Is this related to my past? Is this related to how my parents actually treated me when I was a baby, when I was young? Is it something that happened when I was in primary school, elementary school, you know, high school? You know, was it bullying? Was it because my parent actually divorced or separated and I didn't have a father or a mother figure? You know, a female or a male role model for me when I was a young child, right? It could, like, most of the time it's connected to that. And then you got to connect directly to that inner child, right? And talk to that inner child and comfort it. And even journal. That's another trick, right? You can open a journal and you literally write down, like, okay, what's coming up for you? Where does this come from? And as you're writing, you're literally talking with your own subconscious, and you ask yourself the questions, where does it come from? And eventually you kind of pinpoint exactly where does it come from. So the more you're going to dig deeper within yourself, you're going to figure out where it comes from. And then once you figure out where it comes from, then when you're journaling, then you can write all the reasons why this is actually not true. Even though you think that, why this is not true, or why this is not helping you. And then you kind of rewrite on that sheet of paper many times on repeat, you know, why this is not true, or the opposite of that, to kind of rewire and rewrite your own subconscious. You know, you can even repeat that to yourself in the mirror every day or whatever. But yeah, you really connect to your trauma. You figure out what it is. You talk to that person in the past that got hurt by it, and you console. You talk to that past version of you that was hurt. You tell them, you visualize that earlier version of you, right? You hug it, you send it love, you comfort it, like everything's gonna be okay. You weren't wrong for doing this, or whatever. Like, there's so many different ways, but you got to talk to your past self. You got to close the loop. You got to close these energies that are still being stuck with you, because you're still telling yourself subconsciously, you know, false stories, false narratives that actually keeps you in that loop and keeps you in pain. Okay? So anyways, my friends, this is all for today, okay? But basically all that to say that your pain, your hurts, you know, a lot of people are trying to avoid it, but that's exactly where you have to go. If you truly care about your own healing, if you truly care about your own inner peace, you have to go straight up to the uncomfortable, to the unknown, to the things that actually has hurt you in the past. And that's where you start figuring it out and actually start healing for real. Anyways, my friends, happy healing. I'm wishing you guys a beautiful and blessed day, and stay blessed. I love you.